Hi everyone, welcome to SmugMug Live, brought to you as always by SmugMug and Flickr. I'm Alastair Jolly, your host. If you're looking for somewhere to showcase your images, to sell your images to your clients, or to store your images in the cloud, then check out everything we have to offer at smugmug.com. If you're looking to be part of the most amazing photo community, then please check out everything we have to offer at flickr.com. As always, it is so good to see you all here on the channel. Give yourself a shout out in that chat window. Let us know what part of the world you are joining from. This is episode 51. I can't believe it's episode 51. Today's guest was with me way back when I first started SmugMug Live, way back in May, and I'll be joined by Peter very, very shortly. But today's going to be a great show. But yeah, give yourself a shout out in that chat window. Use that chat window to ask your questions today. I'm sure you all have lots of questions for Peter today about this new launch. So many products to talk about. And I'm so excited to welcome Peter Dering from Peak Design. Hi, Peter. How are you?
Hey, Alastair. I'm great. How are you doing?
I am doing good. Good to see you again.
Likewise, man. I'm honored to be back. Thanks for thinking of me twice in 1 year.
Twice in 1 year. Is it 1 year?
What a year.
It doesn't. It feels like maybe 2 years. It's hard to believe it was only 6 months ago, maybe 5 months ago. It's been crazy.
Yeah, I think the whole world's going to have a different kind of time scale over this thing we call 2020. Do we really think it's going to reset 2021? Is this going to be a whole new feeling? You think? Is it possible?
2021 could be amazing. Let's hope it is. For the right reasons. 2020 has been amazing for many of the wrong reasons, but we're here to talk about some good things that have happened. So you joined us back in May, I believe. People can check if I'm getting that right. But and we spoke about, at that point, the travel tripod, which was the big thing in Peak Design world. But you actually alluded to a Kickstarter coming this year, your 10th Kickstarter. Can you believe it? Number 10.
Maybe after number 9, I can believe it. But it's a lot. It's been a lot. One every calendar year, kind of by hell or high water. Here we are.
Yeah, and we've been huge fans since that very, very first Kickstarter, and we're so pleased that you've decided to join us today and give us a little early discussion about something that's just launched last week. So Kickstarter number 10. It does include a tripod, but it's a whole different range from what we're kind of accustomed to. And you actually, can you remember on that episode, you actually let slip the name of this Kickstarter campaign?
Yeah, and in fact, it probably wasn't. That's the name that I've had inside my head for years for this suite of products. And it is really hard for me to, I've just been talking about these things for so long. So I'm not surprised that slip happened. It didn't seem to ruin the surprise one way or another. I think that a lot of people were surprised at the product suite we came out with. But yes, I do remember. And thank goodness there's no one here to censure me.
Well, I guess there's, you answer to the big boss. So, it's your fault. But yeah, you did let slip the word mobile. Our next Kickstarter project will be mobile, and it was right at the end of the show, so it was kind of fun. And I remember saying to you, do you want me to go back in and like bleep that word out? And you're like, nah, just leave it.
Just leave it. Obviously we don't kid ourselves. We're not Apple. We don't depend on an extreme level of secrecy around here to move the ball down the court. And I think it's kind of fun to have an indication of what's coming next. You can companies play that really different ways. Tesla talks about a Cybertruck many years before that thing is actually in production, and I think it's one strategy to kind of let leak early what you're working on. It gives people a chance who might be buying these other products to say, well, maybe I'll stick around and see what comes from that Peak Design offering if they have some notion of what it is. Yeah. So, yeah, I thought let it ride.
It was fun. I didn't go to the media and start saying, hey, I know. I know the inside scoop. So it was fun. And it was fun to talk about the travel tripod, which has been a huge success for you, yeah?
Yes, travel tripod has that. Obviously, we've had great success with bags, and it's really fun to see them around in the world. But travel tripod was just such a long duration of having a vision of what this product could become, and to have that come to reality in such a the tripod is sort of the I've said it before, the apex predator of camera accessories. It's the most complicated, the most mechanically difficult to get right. And I think it just gave our customers real confidence in our abilities as designers and engineers. And also just for me personally to have this idea validated, an idea that I had since 2008 of just really, really focusing on the compactness, that would be a marketable product, and to have that work feels pretty darn good.
Yeah. There's a lot of parts in that one product. Although it's small and compact, there's a lot went into that. So I'm delighted to hear it's been such a great success. Let's give a couple of shout outs to some people joining us that have been brave enough to let us know what part of the world they're joining from. We've got Martin, who joins us from Southend-on-Sea in Essex in the UK, a little bit further south than me. Andy Wilson is joining us from Seattle. Hi, Andy. Thanks for joining. John Brown joins us. John is a great follower of this series, SmugMug Live. He joins us every time. John joins us from Dog Pound, Alberta. Hi, John. And then very close to where I am, David Robertson joins us from Edinburgh in Scotland. Thanks for joining, David. Keep those shout-outs coming. It's always great to see what part of the world the viewers are joining us from, and wherever you are, we hope you're safe and well, and excited to post some really difficult questions to Peter today, right? You're open to anything. So
Bring it.
If you've got questions, post them in that chat window. Start the question with the word question. That helps me find it in amongst all the chat that's going on. But let's have a little close look at what we're going to talk about today, because sitting in front of you, you have Kickstarter 10 mobile. Look at that.
I do.
There's a lot going on there, Peter.
There is a lot going on here.
Yeah.
I think that everyone has kind of observed there's a lot going on here. I think people who endeavor to watch the Kickstarter video see that they're in for a 7.5-minute epic motion picture to describe all that we've come up with.
Yeah.
And, I make no apologies for the breadth of products. The fact of the matter is, when the cell phone, or when the smartphone really came to fruition, really with the iPhone, and let us know that these products are going to permeate every aspect of our functional lives and our creative lives, it sort of warrants having a suite of products that is as comprehensive as this. So I think it's a little bit much for the consumer to kind of like have blasted at them, like, we made the best fill in the blank mount for your phone. There's only so many times you can say that in a film and have it really be received. I think these things are going to take a moment for people to absorb their function. They're really the way that they've pushed the envelopes on engineering and the thoughtfulness of each of the designs, because every product, from the fact that we have even 3 motorcycle mounts that are all very specific and very tuned to the experience of what it's like owning a motorcycle, riding with a phone attached, and having it occur in such a way that's really beautiful and elegant. It's just one of many things I think that points to a high degree of effort and thoughtfulness and preparation that went into these products.
Yeah, and I think because there is such a suite of products, which is a great way to describe them. That was kind of why I wanted to try and get you on the show early, while people maybe were still trying to digest everything that you had showcased last week. There's a lot going on there. Can I ask, where did it start? Of all the products you've got there in front of you, what was the catalyst? What was the one problem you were going to solve, and then it led to iteration of all these different products?
I'll talk about 3 examples that were all contributory. One of them was I think it was in the old office, so that must have put it at 2013, when Art and I were discussing the fact, it was actually Mophie. Mophie had come up with a case to allow you to use your cell phone sort of as a GoPro. And it was imperfect in all sorts of ways. And at the time, I recall thinking video was pretty excellent. even in 2013. And of course, it's only gotten so much better in that time. But it was this notion that like GoPros are, we're going to be using our cell phones as GoPros. So that was one early contributor. A second one was utilization of, I want to call this out front. Quad Lock is a great suite of products that identified this need a long time ago, and my hat's off to that company. I think that they pulled off a really fantastic suite of products, and they've marketed them very well, and they have a lot of happy customers out there. And in certain ways, we're going after the Quad Lock market. Certainly not because we have any ill will toward Quad Lock as a company. We think they're excellent. The issues that we wanted to solve, though, weren't going to be solved with the Quad Lock ecosystem, and that is, prioritizing. We've always had this have your cake and eat it too design philosophy at Peak Design, and having a thin case is an extreme priority. Nearly everyone who's got a Quad Lock has had some moment of wishing that there wasn't this bubble on the back of their phone. I'm sure that Quad Lock, the founders of that company and the engineers and designers of that company are well aware of sort of that Achilles heel. And I'll be curious to know what they're going to do about that now as Apple has defined this magnetic system. But utilizing phones on bikes and motorcycles, for me personally, as a cyclist and a motorcyclist, was great inspiration. Yep. And then the last bit was in 2016 with the iPhone 10 and portrait mode. When portrait mode came out, I was actually on a motorcycle trip with my dad, and I had him, I took some photographs of him. And yes, it was great light, and the conditions were ideal, and I was the right distance away from him to get a beautiful bokeh effect. But it just blew my mind that I was suddenly getting what appeared to be this really nice shallow depth of field and beautiful color rendering from a phone. And the feeling was, holy shit, I have a company that makes accessories, clips and straps for cameras. Yeah. And what I'm holding right now, I think this is going to become the most important camera in the world. And it almost became this feeling of, we need to do this. Like the cameras, I love cameras of all sorts, but this is, it'd be hard to argue that this isn't the most important camera in the world. Not the best, not the most powerful, but certainly the most important. And the way we use them in all of our lives, it seemed to beckon us to make clips and straps for cameras, because that's what we do, and phones are now cameras. So I'd say those were three important moments, sort of in the genesis or furtherance of this suite of products.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible that really now when we're looking at making video, making still images, landscape portraits, we're really focusing on one device now, that simple phone. So for you to have this vision that all we're going to be, or mostly what we're going to be using is a phone, then to then think, well, I need a range of products to serve that need. It's really interesting. Today on Flickr.com, on our social channels, we're actually celebrating mobile photography. So we've got, today we're giving a shout out to people to upload their favorite mobile images to a gallery that we're curating on Flickr.com, because we see the huge growth both on SmugMug and Flickr with the number of images that are being uploaded to our products from mobile devices. It's been exponential growth over the last few years. So it is becoming such a key part of our everyday life, taking it with you, having it with you. So, having a range of products that then helps us utilize that one device, whether we're on a bike, whether we're walking, whether we're trying to do something artistic. It makes a lot of sense, dude. It really does.
A couple other anecdotes, and not that I'm sure we all have these, but I went on a solo camping trip in August up in kind of near Desolation Wilderness in California, and I had with me my Sony with an 18-200, huge kind of super zoom camera. I had my iPhone and I had my drone, and cameras have gotten so good, or excuse me, phones have gotten so good at landscape photography, both in the ease of a panorama, the beauty of the color rendering, the perfection of the stitching. I kept taking shots with my Sony and then being far more impressed with the shots from my iPhone.
Yeah.
And I was up there and I was listening to, I've got my AirPods connecting my favorite music in the world as I'm sitting there taking photographs, and then I launch my drone, which is highly dependent on the phone, in order to capture and compose the images that I want. And I kind of had just a moment of thinking about Steve Jobs and the fact that he really did have a love of photography and of music and of art. And this device, which is used by vast majority of humans in the world, and I say smartphones in general, but he pushed for these things, for music and art and creativity to be injected into this device. And it's really a beautiful thing to me to see now this device being capable of capturing the world in such a way that gives me the same inspiration that I had from my Nikon D80 back in 2008 running around India. And the fact that it exists in your pocket, and the fact that it's only going to be getting better.
Yeah.
Essentially maybe at the rate of Moore's Law, or maybe it'll slow down a little bit, but there's so much money that's going into an investment in science that's going into the betterment of these cameras. It's like the primary selling feature,
Yeah. It's
battery life screen. It's the camera.
It's a camera with a phone attached. It's no longer a phone with a camera. It's completely the opposite way around now.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. And so I think it's absolutely time for us to embrace these tools as a company that makes camera accessories, while at the same time continuing to nurture like the more technical art of getting out your tripod and really understanding photography and working with a different suite of lenses, as mirrorless and SLR still allow for.
Yeah.
Both are valid.
Absolutely. I mean, you can see behind me, like these cameras here, my Fuji's, they're not just for show. I mean, they look good at the back of this image, but I use them on a daily basis. But I take way more shots with my mobile device, my iPhone, because not only is the quality of it getting so much better, just the convenience of it. The ability to have the shot and then do other things with it, whether it's edit it with the amazing new tools that were announced last week from Adobe or Snapseed or something like that, and then instantly send it to other people's devices or mail it or message it. The convenience is phenomenal. And the camera manufacturers, they need to catch up with that convenience factor, because that is what's going to really damage them long term, as the gap, the quality gap is almost not there anymore, and it's all about convenience. If they can, if you can give me the convenience of multiple lenses, which I'm now getting on iPhones, but give me the quality of a DSLR, but that convenience of just being able to quickly share it. Yes, I can connect them by Wi-Fi, I can get it to my phone, but a lot of times I'm taking the picture on my DSLR and then sending it to my phone to edit it. Why not just miss out the DSLR? So it's really interesting times. And then we look at the new iPhone that's coming, and I was surprised. I was like, where are they going to go? The camera's like so good already. Where are they going to go? And I can't believe just how exciting the 12 is going to be with, video and stabilization and all that kind of stuff built in. It's incredible. Exciting times.
Exciting times. And, all of these things have sort of been happening, and it's been a very, I wouldn't even call it a slow march, but a very steady march toward the not dominance of phone cameras, but like the preeminence, I guess, at the moment. And I have kind of long held that this suite of products, these are I think the most important products that we're making out there right now, because in some sense these things exist, but there is not a ecosystem that is cohesive as this, and that really goes the extra step of allowing for this hard lock configuration. And I know not everybody in the world rides a bike or a motorcycle, or has a desire to take point of view footage, but I know that a lot of people interested in photography are simultaneously interested in these other activities. And when you can combine these things, there are also activities where people can easily generate a lot of passion around them. And when you make products that allow for people's passions to be further engaged, that is when you get customers for life. And I could not be more confident, having used these things over the course of their development, that people are going to fall in love with the security and the confidence and the convenience of just doing that across all the mechanisms where they would want to have their phone accessible.
Just even seeing you do that and hearing the noise that makes, you can tell that's secure. Like, it just sounds...
It's just bomber.
Sounds like you closed a BMW car door. It's engineered to perfection. It looks amazing.
Yeah, it really is. And there's something that's quite special about this, and that is the ceramic insert. And it's rare these days that I get to have a win kind of in the engineering realm at Peak Design, because I've been hiring people who are
smarter than you,
in order of magnitude better than me. Yes, smarter and just better and more dedicated than me. But we were having a tough time coming up with a material that was strong enough and stiff enough to perform well. Like, you can't have any deflection in this element right here. If there's any deflection, the thing will pop out. Right. And so arriving at that material choice of ceramic is really what opened up this as a possibility for us within the 2 millimeter thin ceramic that we have here. And I was just kind of racking, because we can't use metal. Metal could easily achieve this. Steel could do it. Aluminum actually would probably have some wear issues with it.
Right. Why can't you use it?
And would degrade. Because of wireless charging.
Of course, the interference with coils and stuff.
Interference with coils, and that's a real thing. And so that's why having a ceramic part in here, which is, we're still negotiating with our manufacturers on this, but it's a pricey part. It's like $3.75 right now, which is a lot, considering I guarantee you the vast majority of phone cases out there, the entire bill of materials, no, less than that. Less than that, absolutely. And we have a complex array of magnets in here, which we're still, of course, sorting out sort of the final magnitude and power. We found out this summer that Apple was going to be launching with magnets in the back of their phone in their case, which on the one hand, it was like, God damn it.
I bet I could. Do you know when they announced that, and then you announced your product? I was like, there must have been a moment where Peter and the team went, I can't believe.
Yeah, we call that the pants shitting moment. There was a while of that, but the more we sat with it and tried to understand it, and really the more we can actually appreciate now that by Apple defining their magnetic array, this is something that we can build around for a very long time to come. Yep. Apple has gone hard on saying this is the wireless charging coil that matters. This is the diameter where magnets can and should exist, and these are the strength of those magnets. And now it's kind of like they just created the quarter 20, right? Most of Peak Design's existence being an accessory maker has been dependent on understanding how do we interface with quarter 20 female sockets. Yeah. And that it's a standard that's not changing anytime soon. And now that Apple has defined this array, they just wrote, it's the new quarter 20.
Yeah.
Thank God. Because if we would have come out with this thing a year ago, like we thought we might, And then Apple would have come out a year later with a different magnetic array.
Could have been a completely different place.
Oh, that would have been just gut-wrenching, because then what it would do is it would invalidate all of these parts and pieces,
all the investment
which should
people
be
may have made.
lifetime products. These should be lifetime products. They're like, I feel like we sort of under-accentuate that. When you buy this creator kit, which is going to cost $40 in stores, it's like purchasing an asset. It's not an expense. You will be able to resell this thing because it has a lifetime warranty that will follow it around forever for nearly the $40 value. Of course, when you walk something off the lot, it's going to drop a little bit, but you'll be able to sell this for $30 again one day.
It will still do the same job it did.
Absolutely.
So you mentioned to me on our previous episode that you were planning to launch this Kickstarter late summer, is what you said. I think you said August, late summer. So we're now in autumn, fall. So there was obviously a little bit of delay. And hey, it's 2020. I'm not surprised there was a delay in any shape or form. But has that delay actually been a benefit with the Apple announcement coming as well?
Well, no, it was because of the Apple rumors that we delayed it.
Yeah.
It really, it was a wooden shoe in the gears of our development. And the problem was that we got sort of unsubstantiated rumors that were substantial enough to take them very seriously, but not substantial enough to be able to design around.
Yeah. Nothing concrete enough to make engineering decisions based on them.
No, Apple, just takes the opposite tack on openness, which you have to respect. It's something that's worked out for them very, very well, and we're left to kind of, figure it out for ourselves as soon as everyone else has a chance to figure it out.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad I'm glad you're finally launched it. So we have the phone case, and I know one of the big questions I've seen in all the chatter online is about what cases are going to be available. But at the moment, there's a small range of products for cases for certain phone models available in the Kickstarter, right?
Sure. It's the two recent iPhones, iPhone 11 and iPhone 12, and then the Samsung flagship line. And part of that's informed by surveys that we have put out there to our existing customer base, because these are the most important customers to us. And part of it is talking with other case manufacturers who, like Moment and Nomad, who are kind of in our same wheelhouse of customers. And they basically say, yeah, we make other cases, but they just don't sell nearly compared to iPhone. And with iPhone's extreme dedication to photography, I think that's part of it. But I will say, like, there is a big part of me, every time a comment shows up on the Kickstarter saying like, hey, Pixel 5, please. A big part of me wants to respond to that and go out and cut tooling for those products, because I really believe that this system in the hands of as many people as possible is the most useful thing possible. And right now, as we work on the industrial design of the Samsung case, it's actually a much bigger challenge than the Pixel case, because Pixel is very similar to the iPhone in terms of its kind of sidewall construction, whereas Samsung has that LED, or LCD rather, which has those rounded profiles, and you interact kind of with the sides of the phone. So a greater challenge there. But anyway, Alastair, long story short is I want to have as many cases available as is relevant, but I don't want to put undue pressure on my development team, because they have been, this product felt like it was at a fever pitch last autumn.
Right.
And it's been harder than expected. Once people came off of Tripod, we basically have had the entire team working on mobile for the entirety of 2020. And they're exhausted.
I bet.
They're exhausted.
What a year to be focused on anything, right? So the 2020's been 24 months long. So no wonder they're exhausted.
It would take a decade. Yeah.
But we've got the phone case for those cameras that you mentioned, and then we've got lots of exciting accessories. I guess we should start letting the audience see a little bit of some of the cool accessories you've got there. Obviously, as a photography brand and as a predominantly photography based company, as predominantly yourselves, the thing that stands out straight away is the little mini tripod, right? And it's not just a fold out tripod. It's got a lot of from what I've seen online. It's got a lot of adjustment and a lot of exciting features.
It is like every media kit that we've sent out to this, we've sent it to a lot of people who are like cyclists or motorcyclists, and they always come back with, and then that tripod that they made, that thing's really cool. And the fact of the matter is you end up using it as just an at-home product more frequently than you do for mobile photography. You're all communicating. Video chats and FaceTimes are such an important part of our day-to-day lives right now. And this goes for people, old and young, professionals, non-professionals. Everybody is FaceTiming. Everybody is Zooming all the time. So it's a wonderful tool for that.
Yep.
And then, like, as a tripod, when you're composing photos, it just does the job
it's got a
simply,
ball head. That was what really impressed me, is that it has that tiny ball head, and I don't think I've ever seen a ball head that small.
It is absolutely at the engineering limits of how small that it could be. But the really cool thing about this is that in order to apply constant friction on here, okay, it's probably a little bit tough to see this on the video.
No, it looks pretty good.
But there's a wear surface, right? So you've got an anodized aluminum ball head, and then you've got a couple pieces of polymer that are providing the friction. Eventually, that polymer will degrade. It takes a long time. It's not like you're going to have to go through this very often, but eventually it will, because no friction surface cannot wear brake pads on your car or anything like that. Eventually you'll have to change them. Well, you won't have to change it, but check this out. Robbie found a cool way. I want to make sure
that's not a tool there, is it?
That is a tool
dude.
Which hides so beautifully and of course connects magnetically.
Yeah.
And then you take and you insert that into this perfect little hole there to receive it.
So that sucker's serviceable?
It's serviceable. That's how you get a lifetime warranty on it. There's no other way to make a friction mechanism like this unless you make it adjustable. And the only way to credibly make it adjustable and serviceable is if the tool is right on it. And the only way that's a reasonable thing to do is if it's completely unobtrusive and just a joy to kind of play with.
That just looks like a lot of fun. I thought the coolest thing you had ever made was the little iPhone holder that hides in the bottom of your tripod, and it's got this incredible magnetic way that it comes out, but it also stays in. That little thing might actually be cooler. Just that little tool hidden in that tripod. That's well done. That is.
Thank you. Cool. Thank you. These are the details, man. These are the details that make people just go like, "Oh, come on!"
Yeah, I had no idea.
Really
I haven't seen you discuss that anywhere before over the last week. That is really neat. That just takes away all those concerns about that little ball head, because that was the thing. I was like, how can it be so easily manipulated but still stay in place without there being the usual tripod head, buttons and knobs and stuff. That's cool.
It's funny. You're right. We haven't talked about that, but we still spent 7 minutes explaining the product. There's just so much to talk about.
Sure.
Like there really is. So yeah, let's keep moving on.
Yeah,
because I'm sure there are little stories like that for every one of these things. Hopefully I'll be reminded of.
But the tripod is really, I mean, obviously, I'm sure for most of us in the photography realm, that tripod is really going to be exciting. Yeah. And then you've got, gosh, where do we start? Like, what's your next favorite thing, Peter?
I couldn't, like with children.
They're all your babies.
Pick a favorite, but this one's just adjacent. So let's just talk about this wallet real quick. The wallet is again, obviously we're indexing high on the ability to have a product that gives you your phone when you want it and when you need it. And, you know, like at first glance, it's like, well, what's the difference between this and this? Is it really that much of a difference?
Yeah.
It is that much of a difference. If you actually like pay attention to the amount of screen that you can see when it's at this angle versus when it's here, it's kind of like, well, do you enjoy watching a 29-inch television or a 56-inch HD television? It gets that much more of that information into your eyes.
Absolutely.
And of course, we're humans. We don't think about it in that way, but that's what's going on. You have a crispness of information delivery that is that much more pleasurable to interact with. The ability to just, have something that you can, with confidence, tap out is awesome. And to have that product with you as frequently as you have your wallet with you, which is probably every day, that's sure a nice touch.
Yeah.
Obviously,
let me give you a little
bit.
Let me give you a little anecdote about that. Rightly or wrongly, my son watches his phone every morning when he's having breakfast. Like, don't tell me about the parenting skills. No judging, right? But he has his little fix before he goes to school in the morning. I watch him every morning trying to balance that phone against anything that's lying about on the dining room table. Like he leans it against his mug of tea, right?
Yes.
And then he has to drink the tea. So then he momentarily holds it while he moves the cup. And then he leans it against a pile of coasters, or like I've seen him stick a fork like in the back of it and lean the fork against the table, like anything to get that angle you're talking about. So it does make a difference. It's important.
It does. And he's not doing it because he's thought about, well, how many pixels and at what angle can I see? It's just natural. Your mind intuitively wants to view that thing in its full glory.
I'm going to get lots of complaints about my parenting skills now. I know, but hey.
I maybe at the beginning of the pandemic, but by now, I'm pretty sure all parents
we're all
like,
in.
you know
like
what?
Whatever.
Here's a magic square. Have at it. Stay off the porn. Okay, sweet.
Oh, let's
got a glimpse into my parenting skills right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's change subject very quickly.
Yes, let's do that.
What's next?
What's next? Okay, well, first off, also, this is just a kind of a delightful little feature on the wallet. The ability to grab this thing and array your cards like this. It took some doing. It's just, again, another little moment of joy that everyone is going to experience. I mean, getting cards out of wallets is actually not that easy. And that Apple Wallet that they came out with, which is a gorgeous product, is simply one hell of a lot less functional. This thing is going to work with one card or with 10 cards, and it's going to work the same. And yes, you're going to have increased stack with 10 cards, obviously, but we've used extremely thin materials that are extremely durable. We know that because we've made several 100,000 backpacks with these materials.
Yep.
So we know they hold up. And at every inch is doing this a disservice. Every half millimeter of this thing has been poured over. It's a pretty complex soft good product, and the way that we've integrated a hinge into that and have kind of an empty stack of just under 4 millimeters, which is probably about the stack of what that Apple Wallet is. I think they might come in a little bit thinner. I haven't had it in my hands yet, but it's quite an achievement. I think people are going to love the wallet.
And I think something that's important to note is, although we're talking about lots of magnets, lots of little magnets, both in your case and on the iPhone itself, that little case protects your cards, right, from the magnets?
Yes, it does. These things there's a steel shunt in here. So magnets basically are protected by the right types of steel, and so there's a shunt on this side that protects against those. And that's just one aspect of a inordinate amount of testing that Peak Design products go through to test high coercivity cards versus low coercivity cards, and understand what industry standards are. And I'm very proud of this organization. In fact, I find myself fighting them a lot because Peak Design was sort of born of this, like, my style, which is fast and loose. Let's make some mistakes and be honest about them and apologize for them. And I think correctly, our engineering team so much more now, like that doesn't work for them. They want to rely on data. They want to test the shit out of things, and these things obviously clash with
kind of speed to
frequently
market
schedule.
and stuff, and
yeah, mostly speed to market, but in general, they make the right decisions in the testing that they do, and I'm half saying that now because I just came out of a design meeting when we're looking at schedule, and right now we're saying that these cases aren't coming out until May, because that's what the design team feels that they need to do the multiple validation builds that they want to do. And I'm thinking, once we get the magnetic array done, like, we've been testing these cases forever. Let's just start making them.
Go. And
so it's an interesting push-pull that we have. And I think that our customers would be good to know that it happens, that there is an extreme amount of wrestling between speed and carefulness and testing and validation. So
kind of checks and balances against your excitement to get to the market.
Sure, many of those. It's mostly balances and checks. There's a lot of those.
And it's the same with
power
us.
is not that meaningful here.
Yeah, it's the same in software with ourselves. There's so many things we want to do, and it's like, it's software. It's just a few buttons you have to press, but of course it's not, and that's why we surround ourselves with smart people. And actually, as you were talking about the design work and the efforts, we got a few thumbs up there. So thank you to those that appreciated those comments for Peter. Actually, I'm gonna pull this comment up, because here's a name you'll recognize. Adam Hicks says, "Love that your son is drinking tea in the morning." He does. Thanks, Adam. one of your employees, one of your colleagues.
Indeed. One hell of a story as well. Came to us completely through the Kickstarter community, and has been an invaluable employee to Peak. And he's a lot more well-rounded than he gives himself credit for. Extremely insightful person who works his tail off and does it from merry old Scotland. Yeah,
and we said it last time. It's such a small world, and the amount of time I've spent with you and the team at trade shows around the world and at the headquarters, and then I hear about this new employee you have and how cool he is, and then it turns out he lives 30 minutes away from me at school. And you know what? He's also a really awesome parent, because he's just taught his kids how to ride motorcycles, which is awesome. Good job, Adam.
I know. I agree.
Those motorcycles better have Peak Design mounts on them very soon.
I'm sure that they will. And props to Shirley for encouraging it.
Exactly, right?
Adam found the right wife for him and his band, that's for sure.
I wish my parents had been as cool as you, Adam. Absolutely. So good to see you in the chat there. Right, let's have a look at another one of this cool lineup you got here. I guess
indeed.
The charger. Let's talk about the charger, the stand, the desktop. Because I must have to admit, I've got 2 or 3 sitting in front of me that I've used over the years. That sometimes work, sometimes don't. Sometimes, like, you leave it on at night and you wake up in the morning and your phone's not charged. So I'm excited to see what you got there.
So obviously, magnets are going to solve the issues of alignment that people have, because I think many of us have had those experiences. And obviously, that's what drove Apple to work super hard to put magnets in the back of their phone. So what is, in so many ways, we don't want this to be a complex product. What we want is for this to be a beautiful product, something that is attractive enough for you to put next to your bed, functional, so that, like, that old yawny last moment before you're done reading your thing on your iPhone or your phone, you're going to bed, you just want to go like that and know that it's going to be charged in the morning. That's a super important thing. And then the last aspect that makes this an even more functional product is that we have a really beautiful tuned hinge on this, which again just aids to that. The same thing that we've already hit on with both wallet and with tripod is that your phone perfectly angled against you is a much more useful mechanism than it is when it's lying on the ground, or even when it's in a cradle There's a lot of cradles out there that are in a fixed position, and if it's off, if it's not the right position, that doesn't help you. Not to mention being able to come in landscape. I'm really happy to see more apps embracing landscape functionality as kind of the norm, and it's because, I mean, there's a reason, right, that cameras have always had this landscape orientation, longer on top, and it's because the human eyes see that way. We see panoramically.
Yeah.
And we don't see the way that it is convenient to hold a square of glass, or excuse me, a rectangle of glass in your hand. That is the only reason why these things are shaped like they're shaped. It's because of our hand and the fact that we need to interact with them, and probably because it had to travel the distance between ear and mouth for good communication. But because these things are obviously so much more than just a phone, it's nice to see landscape being appreciated. And I actually recently found out that people didn't really understand that all of these products support landscape.
Right.
The wallet does. Everything. Like landscape and portrait compatibility was built into this system from the beginning. So this charger is beautiful. It's elegant.
That was just magnet. There's no mechanical fixing on that. That's just the magnet holding that.
That's just the magnet holding that. But I mean, it's plenty strong.
Yeah.
This is also heavy. Okay. This is intentionally heavy, and the reason is because as people start to use MagSafe, I promise you, people will go, "Oh, that's kind of annoying." How when you set it down on MagSafe, the charger is going to come with you. You have to do some kind of awkward slide-off mechanism in order to get your phone cleanly released. And with ours, what you do is you roll off. See that? Like the charger doesn't even move. Yes, it will jump on there because we've got a lot of magnetic strength, but it's been tuned so that you can roll it off and just easily grab your phone.
Yeah, you're not going to be moving it all around your desk or your bedside table trying to get it off. That's pretty cool.
Totally. And obviously that's a small thing. I'm not trying to pretend like we're curing cancer by having your charger not move, but it's a delight. It's a delight.
Dude,
and it's the reason
small things. It's the small things we love about people. Well, personally, like it's the small things I love about everything you do. Like the little tool and just the thought and the detail you put into it. You can see it excites me. You know, I love just that idea of the things that you've thought about that I haven't thought about. But when I use them, I really appreciate it. And that's what we've come to expect from you and your team and your product. So I'm not surprised that I can roll my phone off there without it clonking down on my expensive executive desk or something. You know.
Yeah, you strike me as a guy who really goes for the burled walnut.
That's and absolutely surrounded by it.
Yeah, mahogany.
My baronial castle here in Scotland.
Yeah. What can I show you next? While we're on chargers, let's get to this. Let's stick with chargers and let's get to the car charger. You'll note right now that this is one of our prototypes, which you can see. There we go, flashing the light. We've got our USB-C there. What we don't have is a boss. Boss, by the way, is a kind of an engineering and design term that refers to a shape that is protruding. As the hard lock widgets all currently have the boss. Well, not currently, will have the boss, the boss. Our soft lock products weren't going to be magnet only, but then along came Apple.
Yep.
And we decided to drop the boss. So obviously it's on us to make sure that as you're off-roading in Joe Calendar's Toyota Land Cruiser, is that an 06? It's a beauty. That you're not going to lose your phone. And you don't. Like this has not been a problem. This connection is a piece of cake compared to the connection to your car. Right. That is a tricky connection. Yeah. It's tricky and it's in part the reason why there isn't why both vent mounts exist and suction mounts exist and sticky mounts exist. It's a really tough combination of things to nail. And we, I think, fully admit that we haven't completely solved it with this. However, we think we've solved it in about the 90% case, which is a great place to start. And so what we've done is we've created So standoff is important. You need to get away from the controls of your car. What we refer to this as is a console mount. A little bit of nomenclature. Console is the thing that's in front of you with controls on it. Dash is the more horizontal surface that's up top. This is intended to go on your console. We have as small a footprint as we can possibly have here because it's well understood that consoles don't frequently have large flat areas for you to mount stuff to. And because we're going with an adhesive mount, it needs to have a smallish footprint. But that makes the amount of standoff that we have here quite critical. Too much standoff, you've got too much of a lever arm that's created. Yep, exactly, and it'll knock that thing off. So the meticulousness with which we tested this is really quite extraordinary. But the result then is this product which looks like almost too simple. It's like, well, that's it. But those are the best products.
Absolutely.
Also, I think that we all know that's the case. And the kind of the confidence with which you will go up and mount your phone and also be able to take it off and realize that you're not tugging against some vent mount that is going to come loose.
Yeah.
You're not having some peel of a suction pad way off in the distance that's kind of a hard reach. For 90% of people, kind of except for those who really have a funky dash and just like there isn't even this amount of footprint. Then
I've never had I've never had a lot of success with sticky mounts, and when it comes to the dash or the console of my car with phones, they're typically got a big long bendy adjustable boom arm on them, and inevitably it just fails. So I'm excited to see what you do with the skill set that you have in the team there with that solution, because none of us want to go down the route of drilling something. We don't want to drill holes in our dash and fix something permanently, so it has to be sticky. But it looks like you're on a trajectory that's going to make it super successful.
I think we're really on the right track, and as with all our products, but especially with this one, our ear is so to the ground on customer satisfaction and even like perception of, in this buying experience, do people perceive that they're able to put this thing on their dash? Because we're not there to say like, here's how you do it. And so there's nothing other than a whole lot of user data that we can really utilize to know that we've nailed it. We've brought in a lot of that user data ourselves, and we're feeling pretty confident in where we're at. But if it ends up coming to pass where we need to also have perhaps a vent mount, which I think has the added benefit of like you can take it from car to car. Those who use a lot of rental cars or something like that, generally speaking, a vent is quite universal, although inferior in terms of the experience.
Yeah.
But that is a SKU that we might see down the road.
Down the road, yeah. And it's great that the charging cable is now going to be on the device rather than on the phone. So you literally just lift it off and everything stays where it is.
And then it's charging. It's a pretty cool feeling. Yeah. People will enjoy this product.
What a world we live in.
Indeed. Yeah.
How lucky are we? You okay for time, Peter? Because I know we've been going an hour.
I'm okay for time, but I don't know. Is anybody out there still listening?
Of course, we've got a whole bunch of people on the stream. It's great.
Oh, amazing.
And a few shout outs, a lot of comments about how people love Peak products. Stu Taylor says, and Adam's an all-round top bloke as well. He certainly is. He certainly is.
No doubt.
Yeah. Ivan says, hi from Norway. Tap Channel says they're coming in from Chicago, Illinois. So
hey, Chicago, I'm headed there tomorrow.
My favorite city in the whole of the US. I love Chicago so much.
It's a pretty one.
Lived there for a little while. Let's look at some more. I got nowhere else to be.
Yeah. Let's keep going. Basically, we can head the motorcycle direction or we can head the bicycle direction. Let's go motorcycle.
Let's do it
quickly, shall we?
Yeah.
Look, this is the most, kind of the furthest outside, I think, of the Peak Design expectation. Most people at Peak Design have a camera. not most people have a motorcycle. About 10 of us have a motorcycle, which is a pretty good percentage, 25% of us. But those that do are simply going to appreciate these products. Like I don't. It is in some ways unfortunate that we can't have one motorcycle product that solves it for everyone. Just saying this is the one you need to buy. But the fact of the matter is these cockpits are very, very different.
Yep.
And we've gone to great lengths to distill what is the smallest amount of SKUs that can give the maximum amount of benefit to customers. This is an interesting one. And you know, I feel compelled to mention that this is a stem nut mount. Mm-hmm. And Quadlock as a company identified, you know, as they have grown and matured throughout the years, they have also identified that the one universal mount we had previous just wasn't cutting it, and they need to make more. And so this idea was absolutely inspired by Quadlock. We've made adjustments to it that certainly make it ours, making these triangular surfaces that then bear against the inside, the round inside of a stem nut. But there's no better way to mount a phone to a sport bike cockpit than through that stem nut. It's just a beautiful location for it. And Max, our lead engineer on this, has created a really, really pleasant expansion anchor that is super clever. Can
I just say that looks like a fidget spinner I just want to play with. Like it just looks like without it even being on the bike, it just looks so fun to play with. It looks a cool piece of kit.
Every one of these things is just buttery smooth, and you know when you're working with a fine piece of mechanical gear, especially when stuff's made out of anodized aluminum, it's just kind of a joy, and that certainly rings true for every one of these motorcycle products.
Yeah. Another interesting story though, Peter, is back when we launched SmugMug back in 2002, feels a long time ago. One of the biggest groups who was an early adopter of SmugMug, and in fact, a group of people who were inspirational in the growth of SmugMug in the very early days were AV riders. Baldy, our co-founder, is a huge AV rider, a big adventure motorbike rider, and the AV rider community used to share all their images on SmugMug. You know, that's how it kicked off. We have so many adventure motorbike people on our SmugMug platform that I'm sure will be very interested in that product. So yeah, very interesting community.
That's cool. I thought maybe you were going to say Hell's Angels or something like that.
I'm sure we have a few of those as well, but no. Chris McCaskill, our co-founder, Baldy, he's still a very avid AV rider to these days, and is well known within that community. And they were traveling with their cameras, long before a lot of us were thinking about going those kind of distances with cameras. So totally, I'm sure they're all going to be traveling with their phones.
You mentioned that community, and I'd be remiss not to mention Ram mounts. Ram's a pretty incredible company. They have so many different SKUs and very, very specific mounts for a lot of people who get who really mix it up in the world of that combination of motors and adventure and outdoors. Yeah. And they've made they have a lot of excellent mounts, but I think even by their own admission, their universal mount is it's clunky. It's effective and does a good job of holding the phone, but it is not the beautiful and elegant solution that I think we have here. The way that we intend to interface with that user group, rather than saying, "Hey, get a whole new mount," they have a ball head. They have a 1-inch ball. And we've already chatted with Ram Mount to make sure that they'd be on board with us making sort of a connector mechanism that allows people to connect to that 1-inch ball ecosystem. So, it's slightly a corner case. It's a little bit more fringe than the rest of these products, which is why we're not racing to do it. But I think it's something you'll see us put in there eventually. And I think goes toward explaining that we're here for the long haul on this range of products. These aren't going away anytime soon until they implant them in our brain, which probably can take another 6 years. Half kidding.
Half not.
Yeah, exactly. But these things are here, And so we're dedicated to providing our customers with excellent solutions to make their phones more accessible. So you can write about it on the gram. Is that what we do? We're going to write about it on the gram. I always write captions for my Instagram pictures that are like 2 pages long, and I'm reminded by our marketing team, like, people are here to look at pictures. They're not here to read what you wrote.
We got a question from John, but the most awesome thing just happened. Adam Hicks answered the question in the chat. Thanks, Adam.
He's good at that.
He was. The question was, John asked, how easy is the adhesive to remove from the dash when you sell your car and move on? And Adam's reply was, use dental floss, which is pretty cool.
You were making a comment about that. No one wants to drill through their dash. And I was like, nope, that's true. We wouldn't ask that of people. We are asking people to spare a little bit of their dental floss.
Yeah, there you go.
We feel like that's about as big of an ask as we could put out there.
I'm sure we've all got some that we can use for that. So that's a great tip. Well done on coming up with that. And John appreciates that in the chat window.
Cool.
What are you holding there? That looks like a camera strap, a watch strap.
It's a little bit watch strappy. It's a little bit, like universal bike, like a Thule bike rack. It's just this wonderful material of TPU, thermoplastic urethane, that is really good at conforming and stretching very, very wide and conforming to a lot of different shapes. And this, of course, allows us to have a universal bike mount, something that is very, very simple, very, very clean, and very, very satisfying with all those indexing clicks.
Oh, so you can rotate it. You can rotate it to a certain position depending on where you fix it. That's cool.
Exactly, because a lot of bikes that aren't like pro road riding bikes or gravel bikes or mountain bikes will have bars that kind of jut off in a slightly askew angle, and so the ability to kind of correct that back to the norm is actually pretty important. It really is an annoying experience when your phone is kind of cockeyed and looking at you, especially when we're trying to make this suite of products work so well. So it's got that indexing function, and it wraps around stuff, and it's incredibly easy and rapid to take on and off. A quick note on security. As opposed to, we live in a delightful city of San Francisco, which is a beautiful place, and all the tourists should come visit. But when you do come visit as a tourist, don't leave anything on your bike, and don't leave anything in your car. It is just an unbelievably quick way to get a car window broken or get your bike picked clean of stuff. And so rather than fight that with security bolts or making something super bomber, we just made it so that you can take it on and off really, really easily, so that when you do have to park your bike in an area where you can't monitor it, you can take this thing with you. It's small. It's going to fit with you. It's going to be unobtrusive. And lastly, I think that anyone who's ever paid attention to our bags knows that dangling straps aren't something that we just can't see eye to eye with that. So we kind of went the extra mile in making this clip, which allows you to take whatever excess you might have and move it back again really quickly, really easily, really intuitively.
Your audio's breaking up a little bit, Peter, unfortunately. I don't know. You've gone all digitized on me. I think your Wi-Fi's momentarily struggling to keep up with all the awesomeness that you're showing. I can't hear you. You've gone all digitized. I don't know whether you... Can you turn your mic pack on and off very quickly, see if it helps? Or
the video is there?
The video's there. It's just very digitized. Maybe it's not the mic pack. I don't know. Yeah, we're losing video slightly as well, so maybe it is good old San Francisco Wi-Fi. Can't hear you. You're all digital. You sound like a robot. Maybe switch to your headphones if you can do that. Yeah,
We're gonna switch to my.
you can't hear you. It's completely digitized, so we really can't even make out what you're saying at the moment. So if you can maybe try and reconnect your audio, that would be good. I'll have a look, see if there's any other questions here while Peter calls in the support team there to do that. Let's see. I think we've got most of the questions. Yeah, if you have questions for Peter, then please put them in the chat here. Peter, I'm not sure what you're doing. Are you trying to re-Skype? That's not going to work. Yeah. Try saying something for me.
A little something into the camera.
Oh, there we go. That's working. So I've got you. You're coming over. No, you're coming over your AirPods. Yeah, but I got it. Sure. Maybe your battery's died on your pad.
Well, we're over time here, Alastair.
Oh yeah, I mean that's it. Your batteries are like, hey, come on, enough chatting already.
Exactly. They're the hook.
Yeah.
Well, the last thing. How about I just crush through a couple things? I mean, I think people have seen the out front mount. Again, it's a beautifully engineered product that is designed to be entirely sleek. Things that are going to be different on this. Right now, there's the largest size diameter. There is not a plastic collar. I have requested that we change that. And the reason is because we have found it very valuable when you're riding to be able to twist this up. Mm-hmm. And then with the iPhone 11 Pro, and presumably with the iPhone 12, the super wide camera, the 0.5 millimeter zoom, it does not have optical image stabilization. So that actually is beneficial. Basically what I'm saying is that you get excellent video, whether you're mountain biking or road biking, from your phone by flipping it up. And so the other thing that we're changing is instead of just giving you this, looks like an M5 screw, we are also going to include a tri-lobe thumb screw, so that you can slightly adjust that tension and comfortably go between flat and up.
That's cool.
So just one little improvement that for someone as this kind of came when I was mountain biking in Tahoe, and I just decided, like, hey, what does happen if we actually wrench this thing up? And I just, shredded the shit out of my handlebars.
Yeah.
And because I didn't have a hex key on me, and the video was incredible. It was so much better than I anticipated, and it's just kind of another way in which we're sort of turning these phones into GoPros.
Yeah, the stabilization on them now is just insane.
It is. Yeah. It really is. It's funny. It's a little bit counterintuitive though. On the normal, like the normal prime lens, the 28 millimeter lens that they have, it actually, the optical image stabilization fights the intense rattle that you've got going on. And so it doesn't work as well. Speaking of rattle, I should also mention that we're working very hard on putting a vibration damper in the motorcycle mounts.
Oh, interesting.
Which is to preserve the optical image, to not damage the OIS systems that are in these advanced cameras. Our testing so far has shown that bicycles don't need that. It's a different frequency, and it does not seem to cause the damage that that motorcycles cause.
That's interesting.
But we have one more thing.
Yeah, we have a lot of cyclists here at SmugMug. Myself and many others are keen road and mountain bike cyclists, and I was excited to see that you've given us enough options to have one of your mounts and our Garmin's and stuff on the bars simultaneously. That's kind of cool that you've thought about having the out front display, but also having one that can sit behind an out front Garmin or something like that. That's cool.
And even the little gobbler that screws in on the bottom here, that allows you to put a light right on that. So it's just one less thing on your handlebars, one more way. This is just such a clean system. It's, we've obviously designed these things with the benefit of these not being brand new products. in ways. People have been mounting their phones for a while, a la Quad Lock and RAM mounts and Rockform and SP Connect and any number of competitors out there. But these products are better. They really are.
Yeah, I love the confidence you say that with, and I have no reason to doubt it based on your past performance, which has been incredible. Look, we haven't even talked about some of the kind of at-home products with wall mounts and places you can stick your phone while you're cooking in the kitchen, and there's such a big suite. Maybe we don't get into them today, but people should go check out the videos and the launch of the Kickstarter campaign. Can you remind me what's the time scale of all this? So the Kickstarter started, so you can back it already.
The Kickstarter's cranking. The design team is feverishly working right now to get our final magnet array at the back of phone cases. We're saying that cases and mounts will be delivered in May. I think that will, people are calling that the best case scenario, kind of on in the greater internet. I think it's certainly not the worst case scenario. The worst case scenario is we encounter something we didn't see and we don't ship these things at all and we give everyone their money back. But I think the most likely scenario is that it's going to be May or before May. That's cool. I'd rather make big promises, but actually what I'd really like to do is not overpromise, and I'd rather overdeliver.
Yeah, it's a smart move. The campaign runs for 50-something days, am I right?
Yeah, I think we've got 53 or 52 left on the campaign. It should end December 18th. Typically, it ends in a huge party.
Yeah,
I guess that probably won't happen this year.
Yeah,
but
I've never been fortunate enough to be at your kind of beer bashes at the end of the launch, and I definitely won't be there this year. That's for sure. You have with each campaign you have a target you have to reach, but you've reached that target, right?
We've reached that target. With Peak Design Kickstarters, we've $100,000. It was a modest goal, and I mean, in fact, if we only would have sold $100,000 worth of product on this, that would have been tough. But we're very pleased with the results so far. I remain confident that once people get these products into their hands, they'll want to snap them up and continue to expand the ecosystem. So a great launch so far, a lot more to come.
Yeah, that's great. And some great comments and some great chat where people are answering. There was a few questions about what phones are going to be supported. I keep going to say camera supported, but they're phones. What phones? So, but Adam again has been awesome, and he's answered that question in there. Jim D says PD products are amazing, changing my entire photo kit over one product at a time. Well, you've just had another a dozen products that you have to do one at a time there, Jim, I'm afraid, but they're awesome stuff. Stu Taylor says he was lucky enough to have attended one end of campaign gathering in SF. Great team. They are indeed. We've, as I said earlier, huge fans of yourself and your team and the products that you make here at SmugMug since Kickstarter number 1. I miss seeing you guys, but we're always excited to see what you are launching, and I love that you've taken the time out. It's a really busy time for you. You've just launched these products, so it's been exciting to see them. I'm not sure when we'll be in town together. I don't think I'll be back in the US this year to catch up with you, but we'll definitely make a point of it as soon as we can. Any last things that people should know about the campaign? What's your single favorite product right there? I know you said they're all your children, but come on.
I think it's the bike mount, actually. I just biking is something where I get so much joy out of it, and it when I get to use this product and it helps me take pictures and kind of chronicle the biking and track all the crap that is kind of fun to track. I get a lot of joy out of it. So that's sort of my favorite, because it's my favorite activity that I get to use it with. The most useful product is, well, let me just drop this since we're nearing the end of our thing. But I think that in some sense, the most useful products or the most useful features is something that we have yet to release in the campaign. It's a small thing, but it's incredibly useful. And
You're such a tease, Peter.
Going to be coming toward the end of the campaign.
If I keep you talking long enough, it might slip out. That's what happened last time.
That is what happened last time. But I've got too many pangs of hunger right now, and I've got pizza too nearby. So
it sounds terrible. A lot of good things have happened between both our companies in the past. You know, we've been very fortunate to have some amazing discounts that SmugMug customers and Flickr Pro customers can get. I know at the moment we're in discussion with your team about the future of those kind of relationships, about what we can do for both our audiences with both our brands. So excited to continue those conversations with you and the team. You know, you have a lot of fans both here in the company and within our photo community. So congratulations again on the launch of number 10. Looking forward to number 11.
Thanks, Alastair. We're going to keep it tight between SmugMug and Peak Design.
Absolutely.
For sure. In my opinion, the two best communities of photographers in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for your time. Give all my love to the whole team there at Peak Design and SF. Hopefully we can catch up soon. To those of you who have been watching and listening, thank you so much. You know, I'm super excited about these products, as you can probably tell. I hope you are, and I hope you've enjoyed the show. If you've liked it, then do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, hit that little bell notification. That way you will be notified whenever we release another episode here on SmugMug Live. And by subscribing and hitting that notification, you support all the work that we do here on SmugMug Live, and you know, let other people see this video. So I really appreciate it. And if you've enjoyed what Peter's saying and you love those products, then hit that like button. I see some of you doing it now. I see all those likes coming in. Thank you so much, Peter. Good luck. I cannot wait to see these products on people's feeds, about what they're doing with them, about how they're using them creatively. The photographs that I'm sure they take with them are going to end up on SmugMug and Flickr, and I'm really excited to see what you all do with these products once you get them in your hand. And yeah, thank you for watching, Peter. Take care of yourself and enjoy the pizza, and I'll speak to you all soon.
Will do.
Okay,
all right,
Peter.
Do the same. Thanks,
Take
Alastair.
care, man. Thanks for your time. Appreciate it. Bye, everybody.